You're listening to the Broken Havoc podcast on YouTube, where we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content, and as the frickin' referee would say, ring that damn bell for more notifications. What's up, everybody? It is Broken Havoc here on the Broken Havoc podcast, here to review SmackDown and Rampage from March 18th, 2022. Overall thoughts, really, this was just a generic night of wrestling. There was nothing really special that happened on both shows. SmackDown is really a generic episode of SmackDown. Nothing really special happened. Really, the only important thing on SmackDown was Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns. Everything else on the show really kind of fell by the wayside. Nothing really important on the show, really just kind of generic stuff. Really stuff I'm not even interested in. Even Charlotte Flair and Ronda Rousey did not pique my interest whatsoever because nobody wants to see that match. Rampage, it was your generic episode of Rampage. It was a good episode, but really it was, if you compare it to other episodes of Rampage, this was kind of the weaker episodes of Rampage in my opinion. We had Darby Allin versus The Butcher, Keith Lee versus Max Caster. Both were good matches, but overall, I mean, I was not really as invested in the show as I was for other Rampage episodes, to be quite honest with you. It was still a good episode, but to be quite honest, it was just not really up to par with other episodes of Rampage. But those are my brief thoughts of SmackDown and Rampage. But before I get on fully with both the SmackDown and Rampage reviews, make sure to like and subscribe to the Broken Havoc podcast right here on YouTube, in which we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content, and as the frickin' referee would say, ring that damn bell for more notifications. Plus, New Shock Episode 8. I haven't uploaded an episode of New Shock for the past 2 weeks. Yeah, that is a crime. Yes, I haven't uploaded New Shock for the past 2 weeks. So tomorrow, I'm going to be uploading New Shock Episode 8 in our top story, Cody Rhodes. Yes, it's most likely official via PW Insider. Cody Rhodes has signed with World Wrestling Entertainment. So I'm going to be giving you guys my thoughts on that tomorrow on Episode 8 of New Shock. Hopefully, I film it tonight, so I am able to upload it straight in the morning so you guys can get the show right there. But I'm going to be giving you guys my thoughts on Cody Rhodes on tomorrow's episode and a lot more on Episode 8 of New Shock. But that is tomorrow. Tonight, or I should say today, we're going to be talking about SmackDown and Rampage. Now, let's get on with SmackDown first. SmackDown kicks off with Roman Reigns and the Bloodline. That is great to hear, mainly because of the fact that Roman Reigns is basically carrying the whole show. And he has been carrying SmackDown since August of 2020. And, well, some weeks SmackDown has gotten better. I remember last year SmackDown has actually gotten really better. But after the draft, SmackDown has went from here all the way to here. It went so downhill to the point where I even stated that Raw is even a better show than SmackDown. SmackDown sucks. And really, to be quite honest, this episode of SmackDown was no different. Really, the same old. Nothing really piqued my interest. The women's tag team match was actually really, really good. It was a good match, but it had a crappy finish, in my opinion. I'll get to that later on. But overall, this segment and the Pat McAfee segment was really the two segments that really stood out. Everything else on the show, really, I just did not care about whatsoever. The Charlotte and Ronda Rousey segment, I don't care whatsoever, mainly because of the fact that Charlotte Flair versus Ronda Rousey, first off, we shouldn't even be getting this match at WrestleMania. It should have been Becky Lynch versus Ronda Rousey. Not only that, I mean, really, Ronda Rousey, throughout this entire build, does not sound genuine whatsoever. And I've stated this on my previous SmackDown reviews. Ronda Rousey on the microphone is absolutely terrible. It looks like she does not want to be there. And other podcasters will tell you that, and they're 100% right. She does not sound like she wants to be there at all. But I'll talk about that later on, right here on the SmackDown review. Roman Reigns and the Bloodline kick off SmackDown. Of course, Roman Reigns, his first sentence is telling the city to acknowledge him. In this case, he tells Charlotte, North Carolina, woo, Flair country. My bad if that was the microphone right there. My apologies. But he tells Charlotte, North Carolina to acknowledge him. Says tonight is a special night. Tonight is the first night he gets to see Brock Lesnar face to face since he smashed him at Madison Square Garden. Says he made him bleed all over New York City. Once he gets here, he's going to make him bleed all over North Carolina. Then after that, Paul Heyman. One of the first few times Paul Heyman actually interrupts Roman Reigns. And this is actually pretty entertaining. I'm not going to lie. I really enjoyed this. This is really funny to see. So Brock Lesnar, well, not Brock Lesnar, Paul Heyman interrupts him and says, Brock Lesnar's fight was delayed 4 hours, that he will not show up tonight. So Roman Reigns, after that, well, first off, we got "We Want Lesnar" chant, so the crowd, of course, wants Brock Lesnar. Roman says that he understands. He's fulfilled his obligations, that being him, Roman Reigns himself. He was about to smash Brock Lesnar and says that that was a business decision that Brock Lesnar made on his own. Then after that, he says that he was about to smash him, again, but that was a business decision. He is scared of the tribal chief. He's scared of the head of the table. He is in God mode on a different level. He's just on a different level, he states. And then Paul Heyman interrupts him again. And then Roman Reigns, this is so funny. The interaction, between Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman is just fascinating, and I absolutely love it. Roman Reigns, when Paul Heyman kept on interrupting Roman Reigns was just like, bro, what the hell do you want? I'm trying to do my speech here. And Paul interrupts again and says, Brock has landed. And then Roman Reigns and the Bloodline and Paul Heyman instantly dip. They dip out of the ring. So the camera follows the Bloodline backstage. So they go in their SUV. And what happens? Lesnar has a freaking forklift. Yes, he has a freaking forklift. He goes through he literally sends the forklift through the window of the SUV. The Bloodline actually leaves the SUV right after he hit the window. And then the Bloodline go to another car. But while they go to another car, Brock Lesnar actually flipped the SUV sideways. So that was actually pretty hilarious. And if you hear the screaming of Paul Heyman, I laughed my ass off. I'm not going to lie, man. That was hilarious. That was really entertaining and really funny. And then after that, what happens? So the Bloodline go to another car. And I'm like, how the hell do you guys got another car? Oh, wait, I forgot. He's Roman Reigns. He can do whatever the hell he wants. So Roman Reigns goes in, right? And as soon as the car starts, Lesnar chases that freaking car, and he actually makes it to the car, but rips off the door. In typical Brock Lesnar fashion, he rips off the door. So he rips off the door. Brock Lesnar then comes out. He comes out without his WWE Championship. Why? I don't know why. You're the main champion, and I don't know why you did not bring your main championship with you. But he got something else. He got his old door. So he got his door, and he basically takes the door and puts it in the middle of the ring and says that he is a little riled up. Says Roman Reigns, he is going to unleash the bipolar beast. That's hilarious, man. I love babyface Brock Lesnar, by the way. Babyface Brock Lesnar. I remember back in 2018 and 2019 where we were all sick of Brock Lesnar. Now I'm like, bro, Brock Lesnar is probably doing the best work of his career, and he really stood out when Paul Heyman split from Brock Lesnar. I'm gonna be honest with you, man. It was great to see that. But he continues to cut his promo and says that he can run, he can hide, but in 2 weeks at WrestleMania, he's going to do more than blow doors up. He's coming for blood. He best be prepared, and he will see him in 2. Overall, what are my thoughts on this opening segment? WWE is marketing Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns, title for title, the biggest match in WrestleMania history. This is by far the biggest match in WrestleMania history. I'm going to be honest with you guys right now. It is not the biggest match in WrestleMania history. I can name 10 other freaking matches that were bigger than this match. Michaels versus Taker, WrestleMania 25 and 26. Hell, John Cena versus Triple H back in WrestleMania 22. Rock versus Austin for WrestleManias 15, 17, and 19. I mean, there were a lot of other WrestleMania matches that were 10 times bigger than this freaking match itself. Hell, WrestleMania is not even sold out yet, and they're calling this the biggest WrestleMania match of all time. But, overall, I think I think this sets up a little bit of build up for their match, to be quite honest with you. It was a great segment. I enjoyed it for what it was. We all know Brock Lesnar is losing. He's dropping those titles to Roman Reigns. There's no way in which Roman Reigns is going to lose to Brock Lesnar and lose his Universal Championship. Now, WWE is not going to completely unify both the WWE and Universal Championships, which, why are you having a title for title match? It makes absolutely no sense. If you're going to have a title for title match, that means you're going to unify the titles, but that means Roman Reigns is most likely in the next couple months, because we all know he's winning the WWE Championship as well. He's going to drop the WWE title to somebody. Probably maybe to AJ Styles or maybe to Edge. Who knows? Because Edge's work what Edge is doing right now is phenomenal. Or Seth Rollins, who knows? We'll have to wait and see. But overall, this segment was great. I enjoyed it for what it was. It was really entertaining. I laughed my ass off. And really, that's where the show, after this segment, the show kind of went downhill up until Pat McAfee, because Pat McAfee was awesome as a motherfucker. But after this, really, the matches on the show, I just did not care at all. Rick Boogs and Shinsuke Nakamura versus Los Lotharios. Keep in mind, WWE has tag team championships. Are these two teams real tag teams? Absolutely not. These are both makeshift tag teams. And don't tell me that Los Lotharios is a legitimate tag team, because they're not. They're singles guys as a tag team with a new name. Los Lotharios. WWE does not know how to do tag team wrestling. If you watch AEW Dynamite, that's how tag team wrestling is done. They have the better tag team division, in my opinion. But Shinsuke, the match starts. Shinsuke works on Humberto. He takes Humberto to the top. He drives the knee to the midsection on Humberto. Angel Garza then tags in. He runs through Shinsuke Nakamura. We get a double team attempt by Los Lotharios. We got a tag by Humberto. We got a double shotgun dropkick by Humberto and Angel Garza. We get a cover and a near fall. We get a side chinlock by Humberto. We get a couple of kicks by Shinsuke. We get an elbow drop to the back of Shinsuke by Humberto. Garza then tags in. We get a chop by Garza. At this point, Garza is in control over Shinsuke Nakamura. Then after that, we get a running kick to the midsection of Shinsuke by Garza. Humberto then tags in. We get a double team attempt by Los Lotharios, taking out Rick Boogs. We get a right hand by Humberto on Shinsuke and a near fall. Shinsuke then goes for a hip toss. Boogs tags in. He works on Garza with a couple of axe handles. Then after that, he picks up Humberto with a military press. I'm not going to lie, man. I love Rick Boogs. I love Rick Boogs for what he does, in my opinion. I think Rick Boogs is great, and his athleticism is insane, man. This guy is crazy. So he picks him up with a military press, and he throws him to Garza. Then he lifts Garza up and down. He slams Garza to the mat. We get a cover. 1, 2, 3, and Shinsuke Nakamura and Rick Boogs win the match. Overall thoughts on this match? Great. I don't care. Hopefully we do not get singles matches involving these four men in the next couple of weeks on SmackDown, because I sense that being the case even after WrestleMania, because WWE will do that because they do not know how to book anything. And that is just the cold hard fact. I am not being biased. But yeah, overall, it was an okay match. I'm not, there's no reason for me to care about it. That's the problem. A lot of these matches that they book on television, especially with WWE's case, there are very few matches that are really important on television, but really most matches on television need to be important. And AEW has this problem too, but most matches if you watch AEW Dynamite, especially Dynamite, Rampage is kind of a different exception. They try to make them important, but let's be honest, really most of the important matches happen on Dynamite. If you watch Dynamite, really most of the matches are important. Mainly because, every match is important mainly because of the fact that wins and losses matter, and there's a win-loss record with every wrestler. But at the same time, there are some matches that you just don't care about, but most matches you actually do care about because of the fact that they're actually trying to give you a good wrestling show. And, giving you guys, with Rick Boogs and Shinsuke Nakamura taking on Los Lotharios, really, this match just happens out of nowhere. You know what I'm saying? This match happens out of nowhere, and there's no rhyme or reason for this match to happen at all. Like, really, there's no reason for me to care. And hopefully we do not get singles matches. Hopefully we do not get Rick Boogs versus freaking Humberto, and then the next week we get Rick Boogs versus Angel Garza, and then the next week we got Shinsuke Nakamura versus Humberto, and then the next week we got Shinsuke Nakamura versus Angel Garza. Like, for a fact WWE will do that. AEW does not do that whatsoever. And why am I comparing the two? It's because it's good to compare the two because you can drastically see the difference between the two shows. All right. Drew McIntyre and the Viking Raiders versus the Jobbers of Jinder Mahal and Shanky. Overall, to be quite honest with you, there's, again, no reason for me to care about this match whatsoever. Really, the match that is 100% going to be the piss break at WrestleMania is going to be Drew McIntyre versus Happy Corbin. Nobody, absolutely nobody cares about that match. That match is arguably going to be the piss break of the entire WrestleMania card. And WrestleMania's card has like one or two matches that people care about, possibly three. Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar, Edge versus AJ Styles, which I definitely think that's going to be the show stealer, and Cody Rhodes versus Seth Rollins, which most likely will happen, mainly because of the fact that they're teasing it every week for the past couple of weeks on Raw. Aside from that, you got Pat McAfee and Austin Theory. Maybe I'll put that up there because I'm actually genuinely interested in that. But you got Johnny Knoxville versus Sami Zayn. You got this match that I just mentioned with Drew McIntyre and Happy Corbin. First off, out of all the positions that you can put Drew McIntyre in, you're putting Drew McIntyre in a match with Happy Corbin. I don't mean this personally, but the character of Happy Corbin absolutely sucks. I saw a tweet actually yesterday while I was watching SmackDown saying that bum-ass Baron Corbin was actually money. And I'm going to have to say I agree. When the character of bum-ass Baron Corbin, that was actually really entertaining. Happy Corbin is just flat out garbage. And this whole match with Drew McIntyre and Happy Corbin at WrestleMania is going to suck 100%. They may try so hard to make the match really good, but let's be honest, the match is going to suck 100%. But we got Drew McIntyre and Viking Raiders taking on Jinder Mahal and Shanky and Eric start. We get a clothesline by Shanky. Eric goes for a spine buster. Ivar makes the tag. At this point, Jinder makes the tag as well, so he's legal. He sends Eric, that being Ivar, sends Eric to Jinder in the corner. So we get a double team right there by the Viking Raiders. We get a clothesline on Jinder. Happy Corbin tags in. We get a shoulder tackle on Ivar. Ivar fires back with the shoulder tackle. We get a spine buster by Ivar. Once we're back from commercial break, Jinder Mahal tags in. He works on Ivar. Ivar then fights back. Corbin then sends him into the corner. Corbin goes for a splash. He hits the Glasgow Kiss, that being McIntyre. McIntyre hits the Glasgow Kiss on Jinder Mahal on the outside. And Michael Cole would be mentioning, oh yeah, they're former members of 3MB. Bro, that team was a freaking jobber group, by the way. They had no importance when they were a team together, okay? Corbin is in the ring. Corbin then runs away. He takes out Shanky. Then he takes out Jinder. Then McIntyre hits the Michinoku driver. He hits the Claymore kick on Shanky, and he gets the pin. Overall, the babyfaces win. Do I care? No, nobody cares. I'm sorry. No disrespect personally. I feel like sometimes wrestlers, not even wrestlers, fans take stuff way too personally. That's why I'm saying I don't mean this in a personal way, because wrestling fans are the most sensitive fans ever, man. Like, wrestling fans can be crazy. And I'm a wrestling fan myself. And there can be crazy ass opinions, but like, bro, if you look at social media, there's some crazy people on social media when it comes to wrestling. It's insane. That is just me. That's why I always say I don't take this personally, or like, you know, because of the fact that wrestling fans are just absolutely insane. Some wrestling fans, like, and I'm talking about them E-drones, because the E-drones are absolutely terrible, and AEW drones as well. Like, the fans that are just only AEW fans or only WWE fans, like the AEW drones and the WWE drones, I'm not going to take on one side or the other. Like, in some of my tweets, I'll say E-drones, and some of my tweets, I'll be like, get mad at me, AEW marks. Like, I like both. I like both products, and I honestly think AEW is the better of the product. It's the better of the product, and I praise them most of the time. But at the same time, I hate the WWE diehards and the AEW diehards. These guys got no life whatsoever. I'm sorry. They just don't. Their whole life is basically social media, and that's it. All right. We got one match that I will say, at first I did not care about. But actually, from watching the match, I absolutely enjoyed what I saw. This was a really, really good match. This is by far basically the best match of the entire SmackDown show, to be quite honest with you. The only thing that pissed me off was the finish, man. The finish was absolutely stupid. How the hell do you have a good-ass match with this caliber of talent? Naomi, Sasha Banks, and Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan, who, by the way, Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan are wrestlers from Raw, and I believe they're added on the WrestleMania Women's Tag Team Championship match. Whatever. Like, you know, this match was going on really well. This match was fantastic. But the finish drove me crazy, because WWE does this all the time. Whenever you have a really good match on WWE television, WWE creative will always find a way to screw it up. They will always find a way to screw it up and end the match via either a DQ or a countout. Like, I hate that shit. I'm sorry. It's just dumb. I hate it. Like, have the match have a clean finish, please. Just have it have a clean finish. That's just me. But we got Naomi and Sasha Banks versus Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan. Again, two makeshift tag teams because of the fact that the women's division does not have an actual tag team division. So really, what is the point of the women's tag team championships? Really, the women's tag team championships are absolutely useless because of the fact that you do not have actual women's tag teams. If you would have actual women's tag teams, you'd make the championships actually mean something. But there are some weeks on SmackDown and Raw where the women's tag team championships were not even on the show. Like, that's the problem that I have with these titles. There's no importance whatsoever with the women's tag team championships. None. All right. Sasha Banks and Liv Morgan lock up. Naomi tags in, then Sasha tags in, so they basically trade back and forth. We get a hip toss by Banks, but Liv lands on her feet. We get a right hand by Banks. We get a roll up by Liv. We get a near fall, and we get a second roll up, and we get a near fall. Sasha offers a handshake, but Liv gets caught in the handshake. Then Naomi tags in. We get a split-legged drop by Naomi. Then we get a cover into near fall. Rhea Ripley then tags in. We get a drop kick to the back of Naomi. We get a cover by Rhea and a near fall. We get a cover by Rhea and a near fall. She picks up Naomi, but Naomi escapes. We get a side headlock applied by Naomi. Naomi is up, but then Sasha makes the tag. We get a knee by Sasha. Sasha then hits the Hurricane Rana. You guys know I love the Hurricane Rana spot. Like Hurricane Ranas are just flat out awesome, man. That's probably for somebody because I love high spots, but like Hurricane Ranas are amazing. Yes, I put over Hurricane Ranas. Hurricane Ranas, get mad at me. But Rhea counters in a delayed vertical suplex. We get a cover into near fall. Liv Morgan then tags in. Rhea then sends Morgan into the corner on Sasha. We get a cover by Liv Morgan and a near fall. Naomi then tags, or I should say not tags, takes down Liv Morgan, my apologies. Sasha then gets sent to the outside, the same as Naomi. Rhea Ripley then tags in. She hits a cannonball on the outside of Naomi and Sasha. Once we're back from commercial break, Rhea is in control over Naomi. Rhea then picks up Naomi, but then Naomi escapes. Naomi hits a springboard enziguri. That would look like an enziguri to me, so I call it the springboard enziguri. That was a great move by Naomi. Naomi's great at what she does, man. I do not like the role that she is put in. Naomi, honestly, needs to be a part of the bloodline. Not only because of the fact that they have a real-life connection. She has a real-life connection with one of the Usos. I forgot which one. But literally, it would be so awesome if Naomi was part of the bloodline and you could just you can literally reinvent herself and push her to the moon. Instead, you have her as a babyface teaming up with Sasha Banks. Nothing against Sasha Banks, because Sasha Banks should be in another position as well. She should be in a higher position than this position, to be quite honest with you. But I'm saying, man, Naomi is that talented and they're doing really nothing with her, in my opinion. Like, they're doing nothing with her. They should do more. They should do more with Naomi. That's just me. But Sasha counters the Riptide into the backstabber. We get a splash by Sasha. Naomi then hits the split-legged moonsault. We get a cover, but Liv makes the save. Sasha then tags in. Rhea then gets taken to the top rope. Naomi and Sasha go to the top, but then Liv comes in, and then we got a whole Tower of Doom. We got a whole Tower of Doom dropping all the women down to the canvas. We looked like the match was going to continue, but instead we had Natalya and Shayna Baszler. Natalya and Shayna Baszler come in and cause a DQ. And then they take Rhea to the ring post. And then the whole brawl breaks loose. Okay, this was the problem that I had. First off, why the hell, what is the reason behind you having Natalya and Shayna Baszler come in out of nowhere to attack, all these other women that are wrestling in this fantastic match? What is the reason behind it? What, you want the women's tag team championships? Okay, I get that part, but really, what is the story aspect of it? Like, really, why? Like, if you really look at it in retrospect, like, what is the main reason why they attacked them? That was such a dumb booking decision. Not only that, Shayna Baszler hasn't been seen, in my view. I've watched the shows every week. I've seen nothing of Shayna Baszler for the past couple of weeks on Raw and SmackDown. And Natalya was doing other crap with frickin' Aaliyah, putting over the fact that she has a Guinness World Record which nobody cares about, by the way. And you're teaming up Shayna Baszler and Natalya for what? There's no reason whatsoever. It is another makeshift tag team. They're trying to put everybody on the card, and I don't think that's the case. You're doing nothing with Shayna Baszler. Oh yeah, the best thing we got for Shayna Baszler is putting her in the tag team with Natalya. Natalya is talented, but again, one of my biggest issues with the current women's division, and this is with the men's division as well, there are some wrestlers on the roster that have been there for years that haven't even reinvented themselves. For example, Natalya, the booking, it's not her fault. It is not her fault. Literally, the entire creative team, you guys supposedly got creative minds, but you got nothing for Natalya. Instead, you got a freaking, you have her with, putting over the fact that she's a 3-time Guinness World Record holder. Who cares about that? That's not important in wrestling, in my opinion, at least. Like, there's no importance to that whatsoever. Not only that, Natalya should be reinvented and literally should be taken more seriously, but she's taken as a joke. Shayna Baszler, they're doing absolutely nothing with her, even though she should be at the top of the card. Sasha Banks shouldn't even be put in this position. Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan, again, another makeshift tag team. Rhea Ripley has kind of went downhill ever since she got called up to the main roster. Liv Morgan has potential, but they keep on over-scripting her with promos. And Naomi, What the hell are they doing with Naomi? Literally, Naomi should be a part of the bloodline, and she should be taken seriously and as a bigger deal, but they're not because WWE is completely incompetent. They're creatively bankrupt, as a lot of other people would say. And I agree, man. It makes absolutely no sense that you have absolutely nothing besides putting them in a freaking women's tag team championship match. A title that means absolutely nothing. And I'm just telling the truth. These championships mean absolutely nothing. There are no real women's tag teams on the women's division. If you have women's tag team championships, then you should have actual women's tag teams, not putting two random women together that don't know each other in storyline and boom, you got a tag team. No, that is not a real tag team. I'm sorry. Okay? That's the problem that I have with this. That is the main problem. We get a video package with Johnny Knoxville from his phone, and he accepts. Actually, I completely missed the previous segment. Sami Zayn challenges him to a match that says anything goes. So basically, he challenges him to a no-holds-barred match. And then Johnny Knoxville in this video package accepts. Great. I don't care. Natalya and Shayna Baszler are backstage with Sonya Deville. Sonya is happy, I do not know why, and instantly puts them in the Women's Tag Team Championship match at WrestleMania. Whatever. Pat McAfee leaves commentary. And once we're back from break, he leaves Mr. McMahon's office. Pat comes out, and he cuts a promo. And when it comes to SmackDown, Pat McAfee is one of these guys that really I enjoy on SmackDown, man. You can tell how passionate this guy really is. You can tell how passionate Pat McAfee is, and honestly, he gives, in my view at least, even though SmackDown sucks creatively as a show, Pat McAfee gives SmackDown an identity, and at least it, in a way, makes it somewhat different from SmackDown. SmackDown is not different from Raw, but it makes at least like a part of it like different. And Pat McAfee is the catalyst of that. I feel like Pat McAfee is great at what he does. And dude, this guy deserves every freaking dollar he gets. 100%, because this guy is phenomenal on color commentary, in my opinion. But he cuts a promo. And he says, on some random Monday when he was 11 years old, he tuned in to the USA Network and he saw something that changed his life. When he saw pro wrestling, yes, he actually used the term pro wrestling for the first time. Pro wrestling for the first time. And after he saw that, his life changed immediately. It inspired him. Something magical and something that would change him forever. It says that he was put on this earth, but for other professions. And then when he retired, he got the call from Michael Cole to join the SmackDown commentary team, and he was telling him he was dreaming about this his whole life and all that stuff, and he continues to cut a promo on how he really loves what he does here. And then what happens? Austin Theory comes out. Now, this, of course, last week, Austin Theory, smacked the headset off of Pat McAfee once again, but what happened after that is Pat McAfee attacked him. And the story is this week, Pat McAfee is not supposed to attack Austin Theory, and he needs to apologize to him. If he does not do that, then he loses his match and he loses his job in kayfabe. So Austin Theory comes out. And says Pat should apologize to him or get fired or lose his WrestleMania match. And Pat was close to apologize 3 times. So he was like, I up 3 times. And he says that he is sorry for beating his ass last week. Sorry that his parents raised a douchebag. He apologizes that he is a punk bitch. Austin wants to take a selfie, and then he pushes Matt, but Austin immediately escapes. Overall thoughts on this segment. I enjoyed it for what it was, man. Again, Pat McAfee is great at what he does. And this whole thing with Austin Theory, I'm actually enjoying. I'm actually getting a kick out of it. And to be quite honest with you, I think Pat McAfee is going to be great. I mean, we've seen him in the ring. He wrestled at NXT, and, he's great in the ring. Fantastic. And honestly, I'm really excited to see what happens. All right. Kofi Kingston versus Rich Holland. Honestly, a match that, again, what is the point? I mean, of course, Big E unfortunately got injured. Get well, Big E. But we get a drop kick by Kofi. He goes after Ridge. Ridge gains control. We get a side headlock by Rich Holland. We get a back elbow by Kofi. Ridge then pushes Kofi off. Ridge then sends Kofi to the apron. Kofi goes for a right. He sends Ridge to the outside. Kofi goes for a running kick onto the apron. He goes for a springboard, but then he drops Ridge on the outside. Once we're back from break, Kofi goes for repeated rights. We get a back elbow by Rich Holland. We get an uppercut. We get a couple of kicks and chops. Kofi's on a tear. He hits the boom drop. Ridge then catches Kofi when he tries to go for trouble in paradise. At this point, Sheamus is on the apron. The referee kicks out Sheamus and Butch. We got a roll up by Kofi into near fall. Kingston goes for the double knees, but Butch, a.k.a. Pete Dunne, that's his name, Pete Dunne, runs into the ring, but Sheamus pulls him back. Then Ridge slams Kofi down to the mat, and Ridge Holland wins the match. Overall, I'm not really as invested. Really, honestly, to be quite honest with you, I just do not care whatsoever. Hopefully Big E can recover, because really this has to do with Big E, because of course it was not Ridge Holland. It was neither wrestler's fault. Stuff happens in wrestling, but hopefully Big E gets better. But honestly, am I really interested in this match? Not really. We got a Charlotte Flair segment. She cuts a promo saying, "When you're Charlotte Flair, you always have a plan. Last week, she showed that you're that one-trick pony, why she is the most decorated woman in sports entertainment history. No one caused more damage than herself." She continues to talk about last week. She was seconds away from making Ronda Rousey tap out, but the referees pulled her out. That was just a taste on what is going to happen at WrestleMania. She is on the top. She is the mountain to climb, and when she loses at WrestleMania, Ronda will pop another baby. She doesn't have the passion to do this, which is true, by the way. I don't think Ronda has the passion to do this. She doesn't want to wait to WrestleMania, and she calls out Ronda to embarrass her in her hometown of Charlotte, North Carolina. Ronda then comes out. Charlotte actually has a kendo stick in place. Charlotte misses a shot, both brawl. Ronda takes down Charlotte to apply the armbar. Charlotte escapes. Charlotte then drops her to the back of the head. Then she gets driven multiple times to the ring post. Ronda applies an ankle lock, but Charlotte hits her with the kendo stick. She chokes her with the kendo stick and then powerbombs Ronda through the table. And that was the segment. Overall thoughts on this particular segments. I don't care whatsoever. They try to make me care, but to be quite honest, these are one of those matches that honestly I'm just not really as invested in, because of the fact that again, this is the match you shouldn't have. This match shouldn't even happen. It should have been Becky Lynch versus Ronda Rousey. But again, I mean, in the build up to this match, really, the promos that Ronda Rousey has cut were not great at all. No genuine whatsoever. Charlotte Flair is being Charlotte Flair. It's the same old, same old. So I'm not really as invested in this match. Bianca Belair versus Becky Lynch, I'm more interested in than this match, to be quite honest with you. I'm being straight up serious. But that was the SmackDown review. Overall, SmackDown was kind of a lackluster show. Really, the only good things on the show was Pat McAfee and Brock Lesnar going on a rampage. And that's it. Nothing else on the show really was important, and it really was pretty bad, to be quite honest with you. I just did not care about the show. But before we get on with the Rampage review, make sure for you guys to like and subscribe to the Broken Havoc podcast right here on YouTube, in which we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content, and as the frickin' referee would say, ring that damn bell for more notifications. Not only that, I'm going to have New Shock episode 8 uploaded tomorrow, so be on the lookout for New Shock episode 8. I'm going to be talking about Cody Rhodes officially signing with WWE. I'm going to be giving you guys my thoughts on that and what I think is going to be happening at WrestleMania. Spoiler alert, most likely it's going to be Cody Rhodes versus Seth Rollins, and if that is going to be the case, it's going to be one of the best matches of the entire WrestleMania card, and much more on episode 8 of New Shock, but that's going to be tomorrow. Right now, since we're through with SmackDown, we got to get to Rampage. Yes, it was Friday, and you know what that meant. Yes, we had Rampage, not just SmackDown, we had Rampage. So I'm going to be reviewing Rampage from March 18th. I was about to say the 16th, from March 18th, 2022. Overall thoughts on Rampage. Of course, Rampage was preempted time slot wise because of the NCAA tournament. March Madness is going on right now, so that is a big deal for TNT, TBS, CBS, and True TV. But Rampage started around 11:45 or 11:48. It started around there in my area. But what are my thoughts on Rampage? I thought Rampage was a pretty good show. If I compare it to other episodes of Rampage, this does not go up to par with the better episodes of Rampage, to be quite honest. Like, this was just a generic episode of Rampage, in my opinion, to be quite honest with you. We had Darby Allin taking on the Butcher. We had Keith Lee in action going up against Platinum. Max Caster of the Acclaim. But really, nothing really all that special happened on Rampage, to be quite honest with you. I wasn't really. I mean, I was invested, but at the same time, not really as invested because of the fact that this was just a generic episode of Rampage. Again, to be quite honest with you, it was just a generic episode of Rampage. Not a bad one, but if you compare it to the other episodes of Rampage, especially the live episodes of Rampage, you guys know what I'm talking about. But the matches were great. I just, again, this was not really one of the best episodes of Rampage, in my opinion, to be quite honest with you. But we had some good stuff to happen on the show. This is a short show, of course. The match starts, or I should say the show starts, with Darby Allin versus The Butcher. Overall, this was a great show. I mean, a great match, in my opinion. I enjoyed the match for what it was. One thing, I have stated this on the taped episodes of Rampage on my previous Rampage reviews. Rampage has that sense that it feels taped, and of course it is a taped show, but you really have to create the illusion, especially if you're producing a taped show, that that the show is live. Make that illusion, even though it is a tape show. Try to make the show make it live. Like, try to make the show feel like it's a live show, if that makes any sense. That's really my point. And not only that, when you hear the commentary team, you can tell the show is taped. There's a different sound quality when it comes to the commentary team when you listen to commentary. So hopefully AEW fixes that in the near future. But that is just my little mini gripe on Rampage. But overall, Rampage for most weeks is a great show. It's not a bad show. Rampage is a good show. It's just, I feel like with the taped atmosphere, number one, spoilers are out there, and really, if spoilers are out there, you're just going to have people look at spoilers and all that stuff. Most weeks Rampage is a good show, and this was a good show too. It's just, to me, it was not up to the standards as another episode of Rampage, in my opinion, at least. It was just there. We got Butcher versus Darby Allin. This match was pretty good. Butcher was absolutely murdering Darby Allin in this particular match. Darby goes after Butcher. We get repeated rights by Butcher. He works on Butcher in the corner. Butcher then fires back and drives Darby to the other corner. We get repeated rights by Butcher. Darby is on the outside. We get a slap by Darby on the apron. Butcher's on the outside. We got a suicide dive by Darby. Darby goes for a stomp. He goes for slaps left and right on the Butcher. Butcher then counters the coffin splash with a waist lock. And then we get a backbreaker by Butcher and later plants Darby Allin to the mat. We get a cover by Butcher and a near fall. Darby then bites the hand of Butcher. We get a couple of right hands by Butcher. Butcher then goes for a stomp. He sends Darby headfirst to the turnbuckle. Then we get a cover by Butcher and a near fall. Butcher is in control. Butcher then spins Darby like a rag doll. He literally spins him like crazy. And this is a pure example of Butcher literally absolutely murdering Darby Allin in this match. Butcher goes for a devastating lariat on Darby on the outside. Then he faces Sting, who is on the outside. So he goes face-to-face with Sting on the outside. Once we're back from commercial break, Butcher then catches Darby and applies a cloverleaf submission. Then he powerbombs Darby and applies the cloverleaf again. Darby then makes it to the bottom rope. Darby is on the outside. Butcher then tries to powerbomb Darby, but Darby holds on. But Butcher drives Darby, who is behind him, onto the ring post. Butcher then drives Darby to the guardrail multiple times and then drives Darby to the steel steps. Then Butcher tries to go for the running knee onto the steel steps, but Darby ducks and Butcher lands his knee onto the steel steps. Then Darby fires back with the code red on Butcher on the floor, which I'm not going to lie was a great spot. Then Darby goes to the top rope and hits the coffin drop on Butcher on the outside. So a pure example of how Darby Allin does not care what he does to his body. He's basically a modern day Sabu, in my opinion. And that is great to hear. That is something great to say, in my opinion. I'm a big fan of Sabu. I'm a big fan of Darby Allin. Then Butcher is unable to make it to the 10 count. Darby is back in the ring, but he's unable to make it to the 10 count, that being Butcher. Darby Allin wins via countouts. Honestly, I do not know what to say of this finish, to be quite honest with you. To me, I don't know, man. I remember we had a DQ finish with Mercedes Martinez and Thunder Rosa, which I thought was absolutely stupid. We shouldn't have DQ finishes, to be quite honest with you. And we had a countout finish on this match. I honestly feel like, to me, a countout finish, I mean, that sounds like something coming off of WWE, and that I don't like that. To be quite, I feel like, because we rarely see these types of finishes. I mean, I'll probably give it a pass mainly because of the fact that we rarely see these types of finishes on the show. But again, I mean, really a count out finish. I mean, you couldn't have Darby Allin beat Butcher clean. I mean, whatever. I mean, I don't know, man. I was just not that big of a fan of the finish, in my opinion. But then Andrade comes out, and then Private Party and The Blade attack Darby Allin and Sting. Andrade comes in to get a piece of Darby Allin, but the Hardys come in to make the save. And then Matt Hardy takes the microphone and challenges the AFO to a fight. Andrade and Private Party and Blade come up to the apron, but retreat. And then Matt Hardy challenges the AFO in an 8-man tornado tag team match this Wednesday on Dynamite. Overall thoughts, I'm really excited for that. That's going to be a great match, man. Dynamite is always, for most weeks, for almost every week, Dynamite is a freaking awesome ass show. And I'm really excited to see what happens. It's going to be the Hardys, Darby Allin and Sting taking on Andrade, Private Party, and The Blade. I'm 100% excited. It's going to be a tornado tag team match, so for a fact chaos is going to be happening. And honestly, I'm really excited. I think the tornado match, this is one of the reasons why I love Dynamite so much, is because of the fact that, when it comes to Dynamite, you get matches that you don't really expect that you're going to get on a wrestling television show. You get matches that are, in a way, basically pay-per-view caliber matches. And really, AEW treats their television really important almost every week, and that's what I really enjoy about AEW so much. WWE really does not treat their television that well. I mean, Raw has had some great wrestling, to be quite honest with you, but Raw and SmackDown have these same booking issues all the time. Like, they really need to change that. TNT champion Scorpio Sky, we get a backstage segment. He talks about people making excuses and him making history. Dan Lambert says that Paige Van Zandt made history signing her contract on top of Ty Conti. Paige Van Zandt cuts a promo. I completely forgot what she said, but it sounded like a really good promo. Paige Van Zandt, hopefully she does well in AEW. That's just me. But we get Red Velvet versus Layla Hirsch. And they did wrestle, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, when did they wrestle? I believe they wrestled at Beach Break. So this is a rematch from their match at Beach Break. Overall, I never really understood the heel turn of Layla Hirsch to me. Like, I never understood the heel turn. I felt like it kind of went nowhere, to be quite honest with you. And honestly, like, really, what is the point? For me, at least. For me. I never understood why they turned Layla Hirsch heel, because it was something that came out of nowhere. But Layla Hirsch is fantastic at what she does in the ring. So Red Velvet and Layla Hirsch wrestle. Both fight it out before the match even starts. We get a couple of waist lock switches on the ramp. Velvet hits a suplex on Layla on the ramp. Velvet then takes Layla to the ring. At this point, the bell rings. We get a double knees to the back of Layla by Red Velvet. Red Velvet then goes for a standing moonsault. We get a cover and a near fall. Then Layla takes Velvet to the corner. She works on Velvet. We get a chop by Layla. She sends Velvet to the corner. Velvet then regains control. She takes Layla to the corner. She goes to the middle rope. We get repeated shots by Velvet, but Layla drops her. We get a kick to the chest of Velvet by Layla, but we get a cover by Layla on the 1 count. Once we're back from break, Velvet is in control. We get a shot to the back of Layla Hirsch by Red Velvet, and then Velvet flattens Layla to the mat. Later, Velvet misses a spinning kick, and Layla hits a suplex on Velvet, and then Layla hits a deadlift German suplex. Then she applies the cross arm breaker or the Jujikatami. Chris Jericho on commentary, by the way. Of course, he's doing the whole Jericho Appreciation Society thing, and he's calling them sports entertainers. And Taz, what's really funny is that he said that the cross arm breaker is like the sports entertainment term of a Jujikatami. That is really funny. But Velvet then gets her foot on the bottom rope when Layla applied the Jujikatami. She falls to the outside. Layla then targets the arm of Velvet. Then Layla grabs a bar on the outside, but then Chris Statlander comes in, and she takes the crowbar away. We get a spinning kick by Velvet, and we get a cover, and Red Velvet wins the match. Overall, this is a pretty fun little match. Was I really invested in it? Not really, not that much. But it was a pretty good match. I mean, Layla Hirsch is great. Red Velvet is definitely 100% improving. And I absolutely love Chris Statlander. I think Chris Statlander is a fantastic wrestler, and she's going to be a future TBS/AEW Women's Champion one day. All right. QT Marshall. We get a video package of QT Marshall talking about Hook. He invites Hook to the ring on Rampage to offer him the first ever QT Marshall certification of accomplishment. What is that? Honestly, Hook needs to start wrestling more on Rampage. I feel like, when was the last time we saw Hook? Like 2 or 3 weeks ago? I mean, we need to start seeing Hook again, man. Like, literally, build up Hook more. Hopefully, we'll get a match with Hook maybe in the next couple of weeks. But I feel like, without the addition of Hook, I feel like, what are we doing here? We really need something to do with Hook. We get the House of Black versus Bear Country and Fuego del Sol. Malachi Black and Bear Bronson start. Overall, this is a great match. We get a roundhouse kick by Bronson. We get a knee strike on a boulder by Malachi Black. Bronson then tags in. We get an arm drag. Buddy Matthews then tags in. We get a stomp to the elbow by Matthews. We get a cross arm breaker by not cross arm breaker. We get a kick to the arm by Bronson. Sends Bronson to the outside. Fuego goes for a blind tag. We get a springboard by Fuego, but Brody King, that being, hits a right hand. Boulder is surrounded by the House of Black. Then after that, we get a kick. Later on, we get an Enzuigiri by Black. We get a waistlock by Buddy Matthews, but Fuego falls into a knee by Buddy Matthews. We get a moonsault then by Malachi. We get a Hurricane Rana. Well, it's not really a Hurricane Rana. It was actually a somewhat of. At first, I thought it was either a Poison Rana or a Hurricane Rana, but no, it was actually somewhat of a Power Slam in a way by Buddy Matthews. So really fantastic finish right there. We get a cover, and the House of Black wins the match. Overall, this was not a bad match. Bear Country and Fuego del Sol, of course, they were not going to win the match. I mean, what do you expect? But yeah, man, to be quite honest with you, really, I just, as much as I love the House of Black, honestly, like, I feel like, I don't know, man. Like, I don't know. To me, like, I love the House of Black, and they're doing great. And I think they're going to be a big deal once they bring in trios titles. But right now, I don't think right now is like, I'm not, like, if you compare other stuff in AEW, I'm more invested in those things rather than the House of Black. But hopefully, once they bring in trios titles, they're going to bring in something to the table. Then we get Pento Oscuro backstage. He thanks the House of Black for changing him, so that's great. We get Keith Lee versus Max Caster. Max is then trying to play mind games with Keith Lee. Lee then grabs the arm of Caster. He picks up Caster with his arm. We get an uppercut and a drop kick by Max Caster. We get a hammer throw attempt by Caster, but Lee holds on. We get a shoulder tackle by Lee. Caster then goes for a right, then a boot. Keith then goes for a leapfrog. Then we get a backdrop on Caster by Lee. Then Bowens is on the outside. Then Powerhouse Hobbs goes to the stage. Once we're back from commercial break, actually during the commercial break, Caster hits a drop kick on Lee, who is on the middle rope during the commercial break. Then, once we're back from break, Bowens interferes without the referee looking. Caster is in control. Lee then gets up with Caster from behind. We get a chop by Caster, but Lee no-sells. We get a pounce. Yes, he pulled a pounce, which is great to see. We get a splash in the corner by Lee. Then he throws Caster across the ring. Then we get a couple of kicks by Max Caster. Then we get a thrust kick by Caster. Then Lee is dropped by one knee. And then Caster tries to pick up Lee, but we get a couple of combination strikes by Lee. Lee then picks up Caster. He hits a power slam on Caster. We get a cover, and Keith Lee goes over in the match. Then after that, what happens is Powerhouse Hobbs comes to the ring. Both Hobbs and Lee brawl. Ricky Starks runs in as well. The Acclaimed come in, so all the heels gang up on Keith Lee after that. Then Swerve Strickland comes out with a chair for the save, but Team Taz and the Acclaimed retreat. Both Swerve and Lee shake hands, and the show ends. What will this build to? I honestly feel like this will probably build to a matchup on a future episode of Dynamite or on Rampage. We'll have to wait and see. But overall, I enjoyed the match for what it was. Was it the best match? No. But hopefully, definitely, I feel like really what they're building up to is definitely Powerhouse Hobbs versus Keith Lee. I feel like that, in my opinion, is going to be the money match. But we'll have to wait and see what happens in the near future. But overall, what are my thoughts on Rampage, to be quite honest with you? Again, Rampage was not really the best episode of Rampage. Was it a bad show? By all means, it wasn't. But overall, to be quite honest with you, honestly, I've seen better episodes of Rampage, to be quite honest with you. I've seen better episodes of Rampage, and especially, with the taped episode of Rampage, I feel like, even though it is a taped show, you had to create the illusion that it's a live show, and I don't think Rampage does that, in my opinion. I feel like you have to do more of, you have to really create the illusion that it's a live show, even though it is taped. But yeah, that was Rampage from March 18th, 2022. Please like, subscribe, comment down below, push that bell for notifications, and be on the lookout for more videos right here on the Broken Havoc podcast, right here on YouTube. And yeah, as always, this is Broken Havoc from the Broken Havoc podcast, signing out.